But we do have our first caller. Jim, Brian, are you ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'm going to jump off screen. Wow, I'm losing my voice. I'm going to jump off screen. Your first caller is going to be Mark, and he wants to talk from Mississippi, wants to talk about how solar eclipses are used to cover for UFOs. Mark, you're on with Jim and Bree.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, Mark.
Not too bad. So how does this work?
All I can say is they had a solar eclipse a while back, a few years ago, and they said that the eclipse was coming from west to east, which don't happen. I took some pictures with my phone, didn't really look at them for, a few months, and then I zoomed in on one, and it had a triangular object where the sun was. It didn't eclipse the sun, but it was triangular and had 3 circles on each corner, kind of like that government supposedly UFO they built, or some UFOs that people have seen before. And I just thought it was quite odd. But I've had many other experiences with different stuff like that.
Right, but how does the solar eclipse cover? I mean, because we know how they happen, we know when they happen, we predict them with an astonishing degree of accuracy. They just don't happen at random. So how do they cover for this object you say you have a photograph of?
Well, like I said, maybe it was taking some kind of surveillance type stuff going on. I mean, it didn't eclipse the whole sun, but it was in there. And I don't know, maybe they was just, maybe whoever was in the craft was using the solar eclipse as a, kind of like cover.
Now, when you say cover up, are you meaning that the eclipse itself was faked in order to cover up this UFO sighting, or do you mean that they used the UFO, or they used the eclipse as a cover to do something with the UFO?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the last one.
Okay, so the eclipse was real. Then we accept the eclipse was real. It's that they were using it to cover up a UFO. That's where they were using the eclipse to launch a UFO, to land a UFO, something along those lines.
I'm thinking more like some kind of surveillance type thing. I don't know exactly the size of the UFO because how far the picture you have to zoom out or anything, but it has to have been quite large.
Do you think so? Do you think it's man-made, and if so, is it better to call it a satellite than a UFO if it's just an unmanned surveillance vehicle?
I wouldn't call it. I don't know if it's man-made or not, but I ain't never seen nothing like it. I've seen pictures like on YouTube and stuff like that of similar craft. Some supposedly reverse engineered by our government, in the black, budget, and then some that they don't know how to explain.
But how do you know that how do you know it's not just an artifact of the lens or an artifact, or how do you know that triangular craft don't exactly fly very well unless they're a drone of some kind? I mean, these things are all fairly obvious. And if you have to zoom in on it quite a bit, how do you know it's not just an artifact of zooming in too far?
I would like to think that because of you can see the circles on the corners, and it against the black triangular background, that it wasn't something like some kind of optical illusion.
So are there lights?
Yeah.
Are you seeing lights on this craft in your image that you have, or is it?
Well, you can make them out. It is not like they're shining, but you can make out the circles on each corner.
So there's a circle light at each corner.
And I pardon?
So there's a circled light at each corner. Are there any? Are they colored? Is there any red? Any blue?
No, they kind of look like a light red, maybe. I posted it to the webpage Aliens, plus another one, which I think's a drone, really, of some kind. Maybe probably not ours, but I seen a video of it, and it was moving, and the person that took the photograph disappeared permanently, I guess.
Yeah, I'm hearkening back to what Jim was saying about drones, because there's not uncommon for them to have different light arrangements and LEDs on them.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about like the triangles type things, like say for the Phoenix Lights and 1997.
Yeah.
I mean, we know what those were. We know what those were, right? They were flares being dropped over a military range. But
I tend to disagree with you on that.
Yeah, so I mean, I was in Phoenix for all that, and quite frankly, what people were claiming was laughable. They were taking several people took shots with their cell phones and were claiming they could do X-ray and IR analysis off of a cell phone, and it's just complete total utter bullshit. You need a camera capable of seeing into the IR, and phone cameras aren't. Certainly not 1997, and not today either. But yeah, I mean, most of these things have been thoroughly debunked. If you don't know what you saw, it's quite correct to call it a UFO. But to make any conclusions about it, I don't see how you can make any conclusions about something that you did not apparently clearly see, or get a good enough picture that, I mean, when you blow it up, is the picture starting to pixelate at that point? Are you blowing it up that far? What kind of camera did you use? What was the megapixel rating on it?
Yeah, the light's a single pixel. There's just there's a lot of variabilities. I kind of wish we had the picture to look at. That would that maybe add another layer to this, to be able to explore your photograph and try to come to a better understanding of what you're looking at.
Yeah.
All right. You said you had some. Was there anything maybe a little bit more compelling you'd like to share before we move on?
No, not really, unless you want to get into paranormal type stuff or something like that.
Oh, well, we love paranormal stuff, but right now we do have some other calls holding, and that'd be a whole new topic. So definitely enjoyed talking to you tonight. I don't know that I'm convinced about the photos of the triangles, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when's y'all's next podcast?
We're here pretty much every Tuesday. Same time.
Tuesday. And what time? Mm-hmm. What time y'all start?
7 Central is our start time.
7 Central. Okay.
Yep. Jim, did you have anything in closing? Okay.
Pardon me?
Right.
I was just checking with my co-host here.
It was nice talking to y'all. Y'all have a great day.
All right. You too.
All right. Let me clear my throat. Whatever Ethan had, he gave it to me.
Yeah.
All right.